What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? Noah Gray here, tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Josh's channel and check out showmefootball.com for more.
What is up, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome back to another video on my channel. My name is Josh Fann of showmefootball.com and arrowheadaddict.com, covering your Kansas City Chiefs. And today I am joined by my good friend, Michael D'Arcy of KC Sports Report. And today we wanted to talk about the Kansas City Chiefs getting back somewhat of a secret weapon that no one is really talking about. And Michael, that is Hollywood Brown, the wide receiver we saw finally make his regular season debut for the Kansas City Chiefs in their 27-19 win over the Houston Texans. I feel like there hasn't really been a lot of national buzz about the Chiefs getting Hollywood Brown back. And he quietly had a really good regular season debut in a Chiefs uniform. He caught, Michael, 5 catches for 45 yards. And while that's not a huge stat line for his first game back, coming off a major shoulder injury and also being a relatively big part of the offense, I feel like not a lot of people are talking about this with Hollywood Brown. And we saw, those first 15 scripted plays. Everyone talks about that with Andy Reid. The first 15. He's always got some of the best first 15 unscripted plays, or scripted plays, I should say, at the game. They incorporated quite a bit of Hollywood Brown, at least running routes. And then he had a big catch on a 4th down in which they decided to go for it. And Hollywood Brown converted, and it was a quick underneath route, the exact type of play you would expect Hollywood Brown to be a factor on. And the offense just moved the ball so much better than they have really all season with Hollywood Brown back in the lineup on that first drive. Now, that didn't carry through the entire game, and I don't think the Chiefs had their pedal to the metal for the entire game versus the Houston Texans. They're not trying to show all their cards right now, but I think those first 15 scripted plays that everyone always talks about with Andy Reid, we saw what this offense looks like with Hollywood Brown, and he unlocks so much more than many people are realizing.
When it sucks, Josh, because the thought was that Hollywood Brown was going to get an entire season to do this in the Chiefs offense, and he suffered that shoulder injury in the preseason on the very first play that he had, and so it sucked that he was basically out the entire season. But now, towards the end of the year, he's here, and in his very first game, he's flashing and making plays. And it only goes to show you that the work that he's put in with Patrick Mahomes in the offseason, the work that he has put in recovery, the work that he has put in learning the playbook and getting familiar with what Andy Reid likes to do. Because not often do we see Andy Reid give an offensive piece of the game plan to a player that hasn't played all season. And so that is a very encouraging thing. And to your point, the Chiefs move the ball well. They move the ball better than they've moved the ball all season long. And that is a very encouraging thing for the playoffs because you don't have Rashee Rice like you did last year. But with the emergence of a guy like Xavier Worthy, now you have a couple different options with Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy. And that's just opening up DeAndre Hopkins over the middle of the field.
Well, and even though Hollywood Brown didn't do that much, you could just we got a glimpse of what he can do. And we saw what the offense is capable of when he's in the lineup. And that's the biggest thing for me. And I feel like now that they've seen him and they got him acclimated and they know, okay, Hollywood Brown has picked up right where he left off from training camp. Because by all accounts, Patrick Mahomes and Hollywood Brown had a fantastic connection in training camp. I mean, we were seeing highlight plays every day to Hollywood Brown from training camp. And that was the kind of wide receiver that it's been a long time since Patrick Mahomes has had. And that's what we're hoping that Xavier Worthy can eventually turn into, and he's shown some strides in recent weeks. But the real secret weapon here is Hollywood Brown, since the Chiefs haven't seen him all season long. And I feel like there's a thought, Michael, that now that we've seen him and we're like, okay, Hollywood Brown is back, that the Chiefs just kind of quickly tuck him away for the rest of the regular season and don't put a bunch on tape so that they can just unleash him in the postseason, and no one's really going to see it coming, and you can't really prepare for it because there's no tape to see of him because he was out all year.
Is that smart, though, just because he did miss most of the season, and so this is kind of a conditioning test for him and an ability to go out there and just get some more active game reps because he looks good against the Texans, but maybe he could do that again against a very good defense in Pittsburgh. And then I'm not saying throw him out there in week 18 against the Broncos, but maybe give him a couple, well, I guess one more
He
game.
can be a decoy.
Least.
He can run a couple go routes, and that can be his conditioning. But you don't have to reveal. You don't have to show all your cards and what all you have prepared for Hollywood Brown heading into the playoffs. You don't want to show everything you have in the playbook for him.
Yeah, no, that's very true. And listen, you might only have Hollywood Brown for 4 more games, or 4 more games. So this is kind of an opportunity to milk everything you can out of him and then see what ends up happening in free agency. But this is Hollywood Brown's time to shine.
And you could potentially bring him back, especially if he's able to help you. It seems like his chemistry was really good with Mahomes already. I mean, they went to him quite a bit when he was on the field. And he almost had a touchdown. I mean, there was one catch he had that was very close to the end zone. It was in the red zone. They targeted him near the sidelines, and then he ended up running out of bounds. But it was very close to getting him his first touchdown with the Kansas City Chiefs. But I just have been really excited for his return. I know we've talked about it over the last several weeks, but you never knew what you were going to get until we finally saw it today. I was skeptical of how much we would see him and how much he would actually do, but I would say he exceeded my expectations even in his first game back. What do you think?
Absolutely. I was going into this game thinking if he caught a couple balls for 20 yards, I'd be ecstatic because we finally got to see the speed on the field. It translates. It's something that could be a viable pass catching option in the playoffs. And he went out there in his first game really just trying to get the legs underneath him, and he looked really good. I mean, he was a focal part of the offense, and that's only going to progress more as the season goes on and as we get closer towards the playoffs, which is a very good thing for this offense because they're starting to click, Josh, with Xavier Worthy and now DeAndre Hopkins and Hollywood Brown. They're going to be really hard to stop in the playoffs. Just imagine if this team had Rashee Rice, what they could do in the playoffs.
And there's so many more benefits to having Hollywood Brown back in the lineup just besides his production alone. I mean, he opens up things for DeAndre Hopkins and Travis Kelce underneath or over the middle of the field when he has to take a defender with him, taking the top off a defense. And we know that Patrick Mahomes has struggled to hit the deep ball this year. But again, going back to training camp, this was a guy that he had a real connection with that deep ball. And we just haven't seen it most of this year from Patrick Mahomes, Michael. But maybe all it took was Hollywood Brown coming back, giving Mahomes an option that he's familiar with and has that chemistry. We've seen him try to form that with Xavier Worthy. It's not quite there yet, but Worthy is a rookie, and also Mahomes has an ankle injury right now, and that doesn't help his accuracy. And he's also just taken a lot of hits and has had pass rushers breathing down his neck, and that certainly doesn't help. But Hollywood Brown maybe brings back the deep ball finally to this offense at just the right time.
No more Justin Watson, Josh. I've seen enough. I don't know how many times we're going to see Patrick Mahomes dial up a deep ball down to Justin Watson and just have it either sail over his head by 15 feet or he's going to drop the ball. Like, I don't understand why the Chiefs keep doing this. The only way that I could justify them continuing to do this is if they do it in the playoffs and it works. But listen, try, and it doesn't always succeed. Why continue trying?
Put your best guys out on the field.
Yes.
You live and die by having your best players out on the field, having your best athletes. And we could use that same logic with several other position groups on the Kansas City Chiefs in which it feels like they're maybe not necessarily playing the best guy. But that's more so a conversation for another day, Michael. The good thing is we have Hollywood Brown back, and he looks really good. And I feel like most people aren't really talking about it, but that's not necessarily a bad thing.
No, it's really not. I want to be the team that has a secret weapon that no one else really takes seriously. And the final point that I'll make is I feel like we saw so many teams complain about them not having their number 1 wide receiver or their number 2 wide receiver or a running back. And whether it was the Chargers or the Broncos or just some other team, it was always, well, we don't have this guy. We don't have this guy. This guy's not playing. The Chiefs have had significantly worse injuries to their offense and their wide receiver room. They lost Hollywood Brown for the most of the season. Rashee Rice is done for the year. You finally got that guy back, and Chiefs fans weren't making excuses when the Chiefs continued winning without Hollywood Brown. And so he's only going to help this team improve. And I'm excited to see, people be like, oh, shoot, Hollywood Brown, he's actually balling right now.
Yeah, or it's just like he hasn't been there for so long. I feel like you're going to see fans of other teams go, shit, I forgot they had him, because he just hasn't been there. But again, not necessarily a bad thing. So I think that's a good place to stop it. I think we're all excited to have Hollywood Brown back, and he showed some really promising things in his regular season debut. So with all that being said, guys, leave in the comments down below what your thoughts are. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe so more Chiefs fans can find this. You can check out my work on showmefootball.com and arrowheadaddict.com for more. And then before we sign off, Michael, where can the people find you?
You guys can find me on YouTube at KC Sports Report. That's kind of the one-stop shop for everything that I do. But yeah, I'm super excited to get Hollywood Brown back, and hopefully he dominates the NFL during the playoffs.
And there you guys have it. And all of Michael's stuff will be down in the description as always. That is it for us. We'll see you guys in the next one. And as always, go Chiefs.